Hello and welcome to the Ladder of Discipline Session 2. I'm Michael Lockley, and in Session 2 we are going to be looking at the process of issuing warnings. If you missed out on Session 1, Types of Warnings, look out for the video on my YouTube channel, Lockley Consulting. Each of the video presentations are independent of each other, however they are building blocks towards formal processes that may result in dismissal. In the first session, we comprehensively looked at the three types of warnings that may be issued to employees as a means of corrective action and addressing unwanted behavior. In session 2, we're going to look at the following three aspects relating to the process of actually issuing the warnings. The first is the process of consultation, which is extremely important. Secondly, the wording and detail of warnings, also very important. And then the signing of warnings once they've been issued. Process of consultation. Most codes of conduct will allow the issuing of verbal, written and final written warnings without the need for a formal inquiry process. You always need to refer to your codes to make sure you're doing the right thing and you're not going to be seen to be unprocedural. But even though codes mostly would allow managers and supervisors at certain levels to be able to issue verbal, written and final written warnings, that doesn't mean that the individual has given up their right to be heard. As the issuer, as the person who's giving the warning, the initiator, you need to ensure that you fulfill your obligation to allow the individual to be heard, even though there's no formal process required for the issuing of the verbal, written or final written warning. So it's critical that you can show that you have in fact allowed the employee their right to be heard. Remember, you're not negotiating. You've already decided the time has come for the warning to be issued, whether it be verbal, written or final. So it's not a negotiation, but it is a consultation. They have the right to give their view, their take on it. You don't have to accept necessarily what they're saying. You've obviously decided in advance that it's time for the warning, but you do have to let them be heard. So therefore, to ensure that you comply and you follow the fair process of consultation prior to issuing warnings, my recommendation is in your warning letter, or if you have a pro forma for issuing warnings, somewhere on that should be recorded the words "after consultation with so-and-so in regard to the misdemeanor relating to, etc. we have now issued the warning." And that warning will then be the full wording, the validity period of the warning, and it would then be signed for. If we look at the wording on warnings, if you're taking your time out to issue a warning, you obviously feel it is required and important to do so in terms of addressing and correcting unwanted behavior. Therefore, don't take shortcuts that may end up causing the fairness of the warning to be questioned or cast in doubt. This is especially the case if the warnings are eventually going to be used as an aggravating factor in a formal process where you need to show a chairperson, even at the CCMA if it gets that far, that you have tried to correct behavior in the past. It will be seen as unilateral if you can't show it was consultation, and it could then be seen as procedurally unfair. So the wording is important in terms of ensuring that it's not just a title. And what we mean by that, if we look at the example here, is that the warning should not simply say "late coming." It should be detailed as per the example given below. Late coming by 15 minutes on Monday, 15 February 2021, without permission and without communicating to the company. That is the wording for a warning, not simply using a title. In the upcoming sessions around preparing for formal processes, the importance of wording is really critical. Hence, I think we need to get it right even at the verbal, written and final written warning stages. And we will be emphasizing again in that particular session just how important it is that the charges and the wording relate to what it is that you're trying to prove. If we look at signatures on warning, it's obviously a formal document. It needs to be put on record, and therefore, yes, it does need to be signed. There are formal means of showing that you've tried to correct unwanted behavior. So the issuer or initiator needs to sign off the warning once the process of explanation and consultation is completed, remembering it's not a negotiation, you are in control, the recipient also needs to sign. But what if they refuse to do so? Refusing to sign does not invalidate the warning. It doesn't make it less important or less valid. However, you then need to ensure that you have a witness to the effect that the warning has been issued and been issued fairly. A number of employees still are of the belief that if they sign for a warning, remember it's a consultation, not a negotiation, so they probably didn't get you to change your mind. So if they sign for a warning, it's acknowledging guilt against the warning issued, when it is in actual fact just acknowledging receipt. So very importantly, if they fail to sign, ensure that there is a witness to the fact that the warning has been properly issued. In summary, for this session, whilst you may have the right in terms of your codes to issue warnings without the need for a formal process, don't fall into the trap of unilaterally issuing warnings without consultation. It is consultation and not negotiation, but the employee has the right to be heard. The wording of warnings should be detailed and specific to what you are issuing the warning for, and ensure that the warning is properly signed off by the initiator, and by the employee. And finally, if the employee refuses to sign the warning, then ensure there is a witness to sign to the fact that the warning has been issued. What will we cover in session 3? We'll look at misconduct-related charges and negligence-related charges in session 3. Negligence is also misconduct, but when you charge an employee for a formal process, you really need to understand the difference between negligence and misconduct. And that depends on whether you believe you are going to be able to show and prove intent or not. But more on this and related matters in session 3. I'm Michael Lockley. Thank you very much for the time you've given and taken in going through this session with me. Please remember, all my videos are based on practical experience over 40 years and exposure that I've had in related industries. Content in this video is not a legal opinion and shouldn't be construed as such. Always consult a legal practitioner as needed. If you need any further help with your own processes, or you have any queries around this particular session, my email is on the slide. You're welcome to contact me and we can take the communication further. Thanks for watching. Until the next session, look after yourself and take care.